Hey there, I'm Amy.connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. Throughout the month of December, I'm doing something a little different. I am spending time over on Instagram going live with 8 honorable mentions as an addendum to my book, Your Worthy Body. So if you have been with me for a while, you know that I just released a book called Your Worthy Body, Find Freedom and Health by Breaking All the Rules in November. And in it, it has 22 rules to break. These are rules we've possibly and probably heard about our health that oftentimes don't necessarily motivate us or inspire us in the way that they are intended to. And in fact, they can create shame surrounding our health. And so I am trying to break this mindset, change our mindset about our body, our food, our movement, how they all work together. I'm offering these addendums live on Instagram, but then I wanted to take them and give them to you because I know some of my community, and this may include you, only connect here through your ears through podcasts. And I know that because that's how I am with a lot of the people I like to connect with. I don't necessarily go back and forth on Instagram or Facebook or certainly not Twitter. I'm hardly ever over there, but I love connecting on the podcast. So I am doing what I call being kind to my future self. And I wanted to continue showing up in December. And I'm also wanting to ease up a little bit in my own responsibilities and my output. So for the month of December, I am taking these Instagram lives and replaying them here on the podcast. Of course, if you have not gotten your copy of Your Worthy Body, then I have a link in the show notes below. You can certainly go get that. And let me tell you, get one for your sisters, get one for your Bible study friends, get one for your book club friends, get one for the girls you go out to dinner with, because this is who it is for. It is for the sisterhood of women who are ready to change their mindset. Okay, let's jump in. Hello, and I hope you're having a great day. I am switching things up today because this is my show and I can do that if I want to. Okay, I have been coming on live for the last several days and weeks, if you're listening to this on the podcast, talking about rules to break. But today I want to do something different. I want to talk about a phrase that I have been using in recent weeks and months and just dive into that a bit more. So if you have been following me on the socials, or if we have connected over on, if I have connected with you in speaking engagements or any other avenue, you have probably seen, and I'm going to hold this up on Instagram, but you have seen that I have this mug that says full of grace and coffee. And then I also have this visor that says full of grace, and I drink it with my mug. And then I also, if you purchase a book from me, of course I do not have that handy, but you will get a bookmark that says full of grace. And the people who were at my book launch party also got a little bonus coaster that says full of grace and whatever else is sitting on this, because I'm going to let you just decide what you want to put on that coaster. But I have all of these full of grace things. Sorry if you hear the banging. Apparently I'm not sitting very well and my elbow keeps hitting. And I wanted to talk some about what full of grace means to me. So I want to give you 2 elements to think about, and then also just a little personal anecdote that you might appreciate. So what does full of grace mean in my world, in Amy.connell's world of graced health and your worthy body? Well, one of them, not surprisingly, is full of grace for just the overall health process. One of the things that I have available for people to tell me a little more about them is a survey. So if you ever sign up on my monthly newsletters, which, by the way, spoiler alert, I'm sending out a mid-month one in the next day, and it will have some goodies on there, including a book discussion question. So if you're watching on Instagram, make sure you go grab that. But if you sign up and you get emails from me, then you have also received an invitation to fill out a survey just through SurveyMonkey. It takes like 2 minutes, and it just helps me kind of understand where everybody's coming from. One of the questions I have in there is, what do you struggle with in your health journey? And I made it so that you could you could say whatever ones you wanted to. It wasn't like just what do you struggle with the most. It's just what do you struggle with. And 63% of those who responded said they struggle with body acceptance. 55% said meal planning. 58% said fitting in time to exercise. 52% said giving myself permission to take care of myself. And one of the things that I'm really hoping that we can have more grace with ourselves in 2022 and beyond, as we're closing out this year in 2021 and moving forward, is just giving ourselves more grace. You will have times that dinner is a flop. You will have times that you have wonderful planning and you meal plan and you have everything, and then all of a sudden everybody in your house is gone. That happened to me a couple of weeks ago, and I ended up having to throw out some of the ground turkey that I was thawing out because like 3 days later we still hadn't sat down and had dinner together. That will happen. And you will have days that you're eating leftover Mexican food from your son's basketball team and you're all standing up around the kitchen island eating. Just personal experiences here. But you will have times like that. And rather than having all of this, and this is a new term, and I can't wait to have you meet someone who's coming on the podcast later, but this food noise, all of this noise that's been going on that we have been telling ourselves and learning and saying, okay, I want to implement that. And it turns from something positive to maybe an idol, maybe something that is stressful and living in our body in a negative way. You may miss a workout. You may not be able to do what you think you can do. You may get hurt. I hope you don't. I really hope you don't. But all of these can turn into a lot of shame and feeling like we have not lived up to what we think we're supposed to be doing. And so for that, I hope that the little full of grace signs that you may see wherever I am, in my mug, in my visor, in the bookmark, if you have received a book from me, just to remind yourself to give yourself some grace. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your body doesn't have to be perfect. Your eating, your movement, you know this. If you've listened to my show, you've heard me say all of those, and then you can say it with me. If you're watching this or if you're listening to this, you just need to be able to do what you're called to do. These are things that we know. And I'm really hoping and praying that this is a message that lives on and continues to grow as the year goes on, and as I'm having more conversations, and as you're having more conversations with people, because we all know we have all been at the girls' night out dinners where we just get into this cycle and this negative thing of body shaming. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have done that. And my prayer is that one person can speak up and go, I've heard this concept about giving grace in our health. And I just think that maybe that's something that we should do. Like, that would be just the ultimate for me. So I'm really, really hoping. I'm doing this live on Instagram, and Emily Baker, EB Designs, I love you. You say, I'm called to sleep. Girlfriend, take a nap. Go sleep. That's fine. That's part of taking care of yourself. And you know that. I know you know that. The second part of Full of Grace is a reminder for us to give grace to other people. And this may or may not look like something in the health world. It might. The more I learn, the more I am aware of situations outside of my own experiences, I recognize how hard it is for some people. Some women have children who have special needs, and their day-to-day existence is very different because they have such a different focus. Their financial situation may be different. They may live in what's called the food deserts, where around them, they don't have quality, fresh food. It's all packaged and cheap and processed. And rather than starting to judge people like, well, she should be doing this, or, if she was really healthy, or if she really cared about her children or whatever, then let's turn that and say, I don't know what your situation is, and I don't know what your experience is, but I just think that I'm going to give you the grace that whatever you're doing your best. And I think that probably most people would say that. I'm just doing my best. And that may or may not look like all of the diet culture says it should, which, by the way, screw diet culture. It may not look like something what you would choose to do, but it's best for them. So this is just an invitation to give them grace. And as a side note, I would love for us to consider giving grace to people when another part of their life might be different than ours. So maybe that is, we all know, like, Twitter is an angry space. It's also a really funny space. And I mostly just stalk. I hardly ever am on there. But social media has allowed us to be exposed to a lot of different philosophies, thoughts, ways of thinking in terms of our political views, our medical views. And sometimes they live up, or sometimes they align with us, and sometimes they don't. And even within the Christian culture, that happens as well. Sometimes we have theologies that line up, and sometimes we don't. And you know what? Especially if you are a Christian, let's just start by giving people grace and saying, I disagree, or that's not how how I think. But that's okay. We can still have a conversation about it rather than getting really angry. So I won't go off on too much of a tangent with that, because that's not what Graced Health is about. But I think it is a really good reminder, full of grace and coffee. We go to the coffee shops. And there's a lot of different people and ways of thinking there. And we can all be giving ourselves and each other grace. Then the final thing I want to share with you is just my own little personal not relationship, but my personal story about being full of grace. I grew up in a suburb of Oklahoma City. My grandfather lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that was about an hour and a half away from each other. And we would go up probably about once a month and visit, because we would go visit him and spend the day with him, and then we would drive back. There's a lot of really special memories that are associated with this for me. And he was just kind of a funny little persnickety man. He was really creative. And my dad says that he feels like I got my creative genes from him. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I do have a lot of really great memories of him. One of the things he would say whenever somebody said something that maybe, I don't know if he didn't agree with them or whatever, is he would say, you're full of prunes. And I was like, I don't get it. And I never said that because I'm an Enneagram 9. Of course, I didn't know this then. And I'm a people pleaser, and like, never rock the boat. Amy, never rock the boat. But I was like, what in the world does he mean about that? Full of prunes, full of prunes, full of prunes. Well, it wasn't until I was a full-fledged adult and I had prunes. I don't know if you've had prunes before, but I think they're pretty good. Dried prunes, especially. They're pretty sweet. And so I had one and I was like, well, that was good. And then I had another one and then I had another one. Have you ever had too many prunes? You know what happens, right? Like, you know what happens. At one point you are running to the bathroom, and I'll just call it that. If you've never had too many prunes, that's what happens. So my grandfather, with his sweet little innocent daughters, would go, you're full of prunes. And we never knew what it meant. But now I know what he really meant when he said, you're full of prunes. Now, that is not what I am wanting for you. When I say full of grace, I'm going to put my little visor back on here. So full of grace, let's go with points 1 and 2 with full of grace, not Amy's personal story. But just so you know, that is where full of grace came from. Hey, thanks for joining me, not only on this episode, but on all of the episodes you have walked with me through in 2021. This is obviously the last episode of the year as it's airing on December 30th, and I am taking next week off. I'll be back on January 11th with new episodes, new things to talk about. Some of the conversations I've had with guests I've already had, and boy, you are going to love them. I'm really excited to get them in your ears. Also, if you are feeling generous, I would be so appreciative of a rating and review in 2 places. One, over on Amazon for my book, Your Worthy Body. If you have read it, particularly if you have purchased it from Amazon, that would be really, really helpful because they would know that you are a verified purchase. The second place is here on this podcast. I have a link down below that will take you directly to a place where you can leave a review. It makes it super simple. And when you do this, it would really help out the show and me. I would be very, very grateful for it. Have a wonderful New Year's Eve. I hope you had a wonderful, merry, joy-filled, and grace-filled Christmas, and I will see you on January 11th. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a grace day.